we have Wild Vegan Treats, TrueSisters.com, True Sisters, building community of lifesavers. That's their purpose. They go around and they're in the process of their workshops, which were running, I believe, we started in May.
To May till August 14th.
May to August 14, 2022. True Sisters LLC, mobile CPR and first aid will be providing these workshops. This is the first workshop they participated in with Afro Aspies Rock and 365 Diversity here at TNAT Holistic Wellness Center with Dr. Dennis Asar Winkler and Dr. Kenya Nuru Dennis of 365 Diversity. We will be having the next workshop and the next Africans with Epilepsy conference at Be More Green, which is 2036 West North Avenue. So the purpose of this conference is me and my collaborator, Dr. Kenya Nuru Dennis, will share our stories and give you information and insight on being aware of symptoms, signs, and we'll share some of our personal journeys with you. I have my mother here, Pauline Grace Cheatham, my birth giver, who we discovered that I had epilepsy when I was 4 years old. We were getting prepared to actually go to the pediatrician, I believe. I don't know where we were going. We were going somewhere, but
Going to school.
going to school. It was a daily part of the daily routine. In Black households, many of you are familiar with those. If you know, we wore our Afro puffs and our two-strand twist ponytails, and everybody had that cookie jar. We had a Danish cookie tin that was full of my ribbons and all of my, sacred adornments for my hair. I had lush full head of hair then, in comparison to this one lock I now have and now wear. But we were doing our daily routine. It was my responsibility to put away my things after we finished with my grooming routine and ritual. And I do remember being in our kitchen at that time. We were living in a house on 1226 West Lafayette Avenue, a half a block from Lafayette Square, where we had our African Liberation Day. That's the first place I recall in my memory. One thing about my neurological makeup, being neurodivergent, including being on the autism spectrum, being diagnosed with severe post-traumatic stress disorder, being diagnosed with anxiety disorder, being diagnosed with bipolar disorder, PDD, NOS, which is pervasive developmental disorder, non-specified, which is a diagnosis that they give you on the autism spectrum, which they like to refer to as high functioning autism, but there's no such thing as high functioning because we just function at the capacities that we are able to as individuals. And if you have the right support system and you have the right strategies, and if you're aware of coping mechanisms that you can utilize, you're going to function at your highest capacity. So I don't like to use that term high functioning. I function, period. I am a very unique entity. I know I'm a lot to take. A lot of people don't get me. And neurotypical human beings do not like to make accommodations for adults. The school system has accommodations in place that they call the IEP system, or individualized education plan, that they make accommodation for children and people who are studying under that standard educational setup. But that doesn't always work either. And I know this from experience. I've had several children with IEPs, and within the system, within the Baltimore City Public School System, I even, I know I'm going around in like a circle. It's just kind of like a general discussion. We're sharing our stories and sharing some information with you. But per my experience, I decided to remove my children from public school because the individual educational plan did not provide accommodations for neurological people that were my children. They did not provide everything that was required. Constant supervision, which was required. In transition, we have difficulty in transition at times, transitioning from space to space. Now, because I'm a vendor and because, all of the things that are my coping mechanisms are my reality. Like everything in my life is integrally connected, from, my neurology and how I cope with it is actually all the stuff that you're going to see on that table there. These are all my coping mechanisms. I never planned to be an entrepreneur or plan to be a vendor. That's the direction my life took me in. I'm actually a certified cardiovascular technologist. I was hired at Good Samaritan Hospital Nuclear Lab way back in 2011-ish. But autism. When I got the first diagnosis for my child, Corinne, way back in, Corinne is 20 years old now. Corinne was about 4 or 5 years old when we received her diagnosis. And I was told that I would not be able to work. Miss, you cannot work. You have to stay home. You have to stay home because your children require 24-hour supervision. So then we got the one-to-one aides and the therapeutic behavior aides in my house. Most of the people on my timeline on Facebook have been my therapists, PRPs, in-home therapeutic behavior aides or one-to-one aides. A lot of people came to my home for in-home therapy sessions, the therapists and everything like that. So it's been a long journey. Now let's go back to the beginning when I experienced what I experienced. And this poor lady over here did not know what to do when she saw her child violently convulsing on the floor with my eyes rolled back in my head. And all you saw was the whites in my eyes. So, back in the day, if somebody saw somebody like me experiencing a full-blown complex focal or grand mal seizure, they should put people like me away real quick. She got the devil in it, that's a demon, because people were ignorant and didn't understand the neurology and how the brain functions and operates. Now, basically what a seizure is an electrical storm in your brain. It's basically an electrical storm. Now, some can attach that to spirituality. If you know who I am as the avatar, Shauna Divine One, electricity also is conducive to and facilitates travel. So that's another topic in another conference. But experiencing this was very strange. I had no idea what was going on. And I remember very vividly, I don't know if it's connected to my neurology with autism, but I tell my mother things and she's like, how in the world do you remember that? You were only 2 years old, my memory. So it's like, with my neurology, there are certain things that are just upfront and displayed in the compartments of my mind. And there are certain other things that I may have buried very deep, which is a coping mechanism, because when humans are injured, they compensate for their injury by comforting themselves, or even the body, which is its own unique entity. This meat suit that I exist in right here, right now, it is constantly repairing itself. It's constantly fixing its glitches. And when your body perceives your neurological makeup as a glitch, and it also can cause pain. So people like us experience brain pain. And I'm going to give the talking stick to Dr. Kim, your new dentist, and she's going to tell you something about brain pain and something about her experience. Because we're going to have a series of these, because there's no way we can give you all this information and share our stories in one day, to just let you know that you're not alone. If you need help and are seeking assistance, you can communicate with one of us and we can give you resources. So without further ado, here's Dr. King, your new dentist.
Thank you so much, Donna. So I'm Kimia Naru Dennis. I am a sociologist and criminologist, and I specialize in Black health. So the work that we're doing is reaching Black people locally, nationally, and around the world, which is why we're sharing this information, and it is Africans with epilepsy. There's years of research about our people everywhere who have epileptic seizures, have brain conditions. They can come from a number of reasons, like my brain condition is something that might have existed since birth. And a lot of times they're not realized until you get older, and you might have a seizure, and then you go to the hospital and they start to do MRIs and other scans to see what's going on with your brain. And we also have to realize or remember as Black people that everything that we do impacts the brain. The brain controls everything and impacts everything, and everything controls and impacts the brain. What we eat impacts the brain. How we exercise or don't exercise impacts the brain. What we're learning impacts the brain. Everything impacts the brain. And so with the work that we're doing, we're addressing things like emergency services, like first responders, like when you hear those sirens. The importance of Black people having access to resources in case there is a medical emergency. You might be surprised or you might not be, but a lot of our people will have seizures and almost die alone, and they will never call a medical professional, and they will never call a first responder to get them to pick them up to go to a hospital if there is access to a safe hospital nearby. And I'm gonna repeat that. A lot of our people will suffer at home for various reasons. It could be because the hospitals are abusive to our people or ignore our people. It could be because most neurologists and neurosurgeons and general practitioners are accustomed to just throwing medication to people without actually having conversations. So that's why I specialize in doing Black community work and actually having conversations and teaching our people how to take notes. So when you go to that medical health appointment, you actually take notes. You don't have to have an argument. Sometimes you just have to write everything down. That's including if we file a patient complaint, if we start shopping around for another provider for the health resources that you need. But they all consider us ignorant and unaware. And unfortunately, this includes our own people who are taught and trained as medical and health professionals. Because despite thousands of years of African knowledges, sciences, mathematics, and the meaning of holistic to include natural, organic, and sciences, most of our people who specialize in Black health, so they claim, specialize in a way that's got really no Black foundations. They will give us medications and they will not even give us the lowest dose to start off with. So this is why I always refer people to my neurologist who actually knows how to do holistic health, actually knows how to have conversations, actually knows how to start people off with the lowest dose and say, we'll do a follow-up discussion, even if it's not a full appointment. Email me, call me, let me know what's going on. And every time I go to this neurologist, we have this conversation. My neurologist is different than my previous neurologist in a different state. The previous neurologists know that I specialize in health. So you could tell they were afraid that I would file a complaint. They were not afraid enough to make sure they treated my health properly though. So I always tell people I am both the Black person who is a patient and a Black person who specializes in health. And I don't always walk in the door as Dr. Dennis, but I do reevaluate the situation and reintroduce myself accordingly if I see people acting ignorant, not just to save myself, but because I want them to know that they better act right with every single Black person who they are treating. That's locally, nationally, and around the world. So this is why I always speak to Black people about this, because we have 5 centuries of being tortured. But yet and still, Black people still rely on the abusers to stop abusing. That's not how this happens. Abusers do not stop abusing, whether it's police, politicians, inadequate medical and health professionals. They're getting paid regardless. So that's why we have to go into this. We have to go into this taking care of ourselves and utilizing the resources that we need without 100% relying on these resources and making them think that we have no knowledge and no options other than them. So the same applies to epilepsy. I take my medications twice a day. I get my regular assessments. I keep in touch with all of my medical and health appointments, not because I have free time, not because I have extra money, but because I figure that as Black people, they already don't care about our health and lives. Therefore, we have to care about it ourselves. And I care about it without requiring their laws and mandates to tell me what to do. And so we'll talk about that more when talking about Africans with epilepsy. Epileptic seizures are not just something that's just like, oh, you know, I was tired, so I went to sleep. You can literally die from any seizure that you have. Any seizure can happen if you're walking down the street. It can happen if you're driving a car. It can happen if you're on the bus. It can happen if you're on the train. It can happen if you're on the plane. It can happen anytime. So unfortunately, a lot of our people see epileptic seizure as something casual, like, yeah, I had a seizure, girl, but I'm good. You're not good. Your brain is basically begging you to get help. There could be holes in your brain forming. There's all sorts of things processing. Epileptic seizures also impact your eyes. So your eyes will be blurry for a while. So there's a reason by law in every city and every state, you're not required to drive for a certain amount of time if you've had a seizure. In some states, it's a year. Some states, it's 2 years. So when I had seizures, when I still lived in North Carolina, after every seizure, I could not drive for a year. If you get caught driving, you get arrested.
Wait a minute, you need to repeat that part.
I'll say it again. After every seizure, you're not allowed to drive. In some states, it's 2 years. Where I lived in North Carolina, it was a year. And if you were caught driving, you can get not just in debt, but you can also get arrested.
Wait, you can get
and your neurologist can actually report you. Like if you show up to appointments and you ain't take public transportation or nobody drop you off and they see your car and you're driving, they'll let you know, I'm gonna report you. Because not only can you kill yourself, you can kill other people. Because again, epileptic seizures impact your eyes. So you see everything different. Your peripheral vision changes. Like somebody can look close up to you, but they're actually far away and vice versa. That's also a warning that a seizure is gonna happen. Let's say you're walking down the street and all of a sudden things get blurry. You're not just tired. Your brain is actually warning you. It's not warning you to go home and take a nap. It's oftentimes warning you to go to an emergency room. So these are all examples of warning signs. And we have a question over here.
Not a question, but a comment. So you mean a drunk driver can drive drunk and kill a family and they on
slap him on the wrist.
and he good and he gonna get out there and drive again and possibly kill somebody else, but you that have a medical condition and you drive before that year is up that they give you after each seizure, they're gonna arrest you, they're gonna put you in. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, most people who kill somebody if they're driving drunk don't just get slapped on the wrist. That also can have consequences, right?
I don't have though.
Yeah, so it just depends. And I don't like to compare it because I really just want people to see it for themselves, right? Because if you're driving after an epileptic seizure, like let's say you had a seizure and you're like, ooh, I'm out of the seizure, I'm gonna drive myself to the emergency room. No, you literally are weak, your eyes are different, your brain is different. You can have another seizure while you're driving. Like I always tell people, like Baltimore drivers are horrible. There's a reason why Baltimore is on the top list of bad drivers. Because when you're driving the speed limit, people act like the world's about to end, right? They seriously do, right? But I always tell people, when someone's driving the speed limit, number one, that's what we're supposed to do. Number two, there's different reasons. Like people like myself, I drive the speed limit because we're careful because we know people have different health conditions. That could be anxiety attacks. That could be elderly people who know that they ain't got no business going 20 miles over the speed limit. There are people who are on a highway. Like I avoid highways and bridges as much as possible. It's impossible to avoid an overpass in Baltimore, but I avoid bridges and highways. And sometimes you'll see someone breaking off onto the side of the highway. And people are honking like, why are you on the side of the highway?
Do you have to pay this on Saturday, guys, to park out here?
Yes.
You do? Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
So sometimes you'll see someone on a 65 miles per hour highway and they're going off to the side. Sometimes their body might be giving them warning signs, right? And this is also where CPR is very important. This is why we also want Black people to be trained in CPR, because that also connects to epilepsy. And this is a good time for you also to explain why. Before you do that, I want Dr. Dennis Winkler to introduce TNAT, or you can come up and do that, because there are some people who are wondering about things like health insurance. They're such a humble place. Let me tell you, the people who help Black folks the most are the most humble people. Here comes Shauna with a chair. Who asked her to have a chair?
I have a neurological condition and I feel like I need to sit down.
So this is another example of
And if
epilepsy.
you're quiet
So-
about your pain, people will think that you are okay with it, so.
Exactly. So when I do presentations and when I do certain things, sometimes I'm sitting down, or like if they're doing a meeting and they have a circle of people sitting around each other, I'm away from them. And they consider it rude, but if you
Yeah.
have like epilepsy reception
Yes.
to environments, you don't want to be around each other like that. And of course, during
Yes.
COVID, you shouldn't be around each other. But those of us with certain conditions, being in that circle is not, it doesn't make us feel like we have enough space. So this is another thing to think about when you talk about ableism. In an ableist environment where people assume that everyone has the same health and everyone assumes that everyone's brain is okay.
And when people assume you may be making excuses for something that is a
Mhm.
legitimate condition, like,
Mhm.
dude, I literally cannot see right now.
Yep.
Dude, I literally can't see my keys, my phone. I'm literally like,
Mhm.
I have not had one drink, but my brain is acting like it's drunk.
Mhm.
Like I'm literally about to pass out or fall out. Like I am not capable of physically doing what you're requiring me to do, so I cannot. And I am, standing in that truth. I won't placate and accommodate what I call the normies or neurotypical people's expectations of me any longer. That's just something I'm not going to do.
Yep.
I'm learning to say no, which is a complete sentence and a protection spell.
Yep, which is why having
No.
chairs is important, which is why
Which is
sitting
why I cover
down.
my face when I'm uncomfortable, which is why when
Yes.
I'm in too much light or too much, there's too much energy in an environment, I don't care if it looks weird. Apparently it intimidates some people because I was told recently that coming into a space with somebody, and I'm like, who is that? What is that? And apparently it was intimidating. But while you're intimidated by me, I'm covering myself to shield and protect myself from you.
That's right. That's right. And that's another way to understand our cultures, right? Because we actually come from cultures where there's different forms of expression of what it means to look people in the eye, right? There's different cultures around the world where looking people in the eye is more like you about to fight. It ain't necessarily a sign of respect. And so there's all sorts of different forms of, so that's why I tell people, disability services is not, it's not limited to people who are in wheelchairs. So I have disability parking. And sometimes I get out the car with my disability tag and people are like, oh, you haven't really got disability. I'm like, first of all, my disability pass is always approved through the cities and states.
Invisible disability.
I'm not stealing it. But people need to understand that disability has various meanings, and these disabilities have existed for thousands of years around the world. It's not just one form.
And you know what's crazy? It's difficult navigating with an invisible disability because if I had an affected gait, which I don't want to be funny, but y'all remember watching The Living Color, Black folks, Handyman. Now, if I had an affected gait, or if my face was turned up in some odd manner that wasn't, standard for my physical aesthetic, and people would recognize and see. But I should not have to put my pain on display for you to respect my space and respect the fact that I do have special needs and I need accommodations. It is written in law that I'm supposed to have accommodation. In my workspace, I like to keep the lights low. I like to keep too much energy and activity down. People can look at the timeline and say, oh, Shauna Devine is that she's always on the go. She's always doing it. She's always doing that. That's literally my job. I party for a living. I host things. I do what I do for a living. I'm an artist. That's just what I am because I had no choice. As I told you before, I'm certified. I have certifications. No, I haven't received my master's and stuff yet. But I'm not going to say whether I'm studying or not because I don't want the dream assassins to hear that. So, but I do whatever it is that I need to do that's necessary for my forward movement and progress, so I can gain skills and knowledge to assist my community better. I have my experience, but it doesn't hurt. I'm no stranger to the annals of academia, the halls of academia, whatever like that. So Yeah, we might be going back. Maybe we already are back. I just didn't tell you. I don't know. So we'll find out soon enough, sooner or later. But anyway, I'm here right now, existing in my current space, being who I am, being my authentic self. A lot of people did notice that you guys are new to me, but I had a full head of locks. I can tell you that the purpose for the cleansing and the shedding of my crown, of my former crown, for my new crown to emerge, was a spiritual and a physical undertaking. It literally got to the point where, and this leads me to the reason why I started being vocal about my condition, because not to say I lied, but maybe I just didn't reveal everything about myself, which people just don't all the time. I didn't talk about my epilepsy. I didn't talk about neurology. I talked about my children's autism because I'm their champion, I'm their advocate, but I didn't talk about my own. But if you see my shirt, I know self be true, being true to myself and standing in my full, complete truth. I decided to reveal that when about 3 years ago, I was getting my hair braided in some pink and purple lemonades. Yes, of course it had to be extra because I'm me. And when my niece was at the nape of my neck, pulling over, she was gripping, okay, honey, she was gripping, she gripped it. And I just said, I felt the aura. And if you're familiar with that term, the aura is the only way I can describe it is like, if you ever saw sheer window panels, you put sheer window panels in your window, the sheer white ones, it's like a mist, a fog, a daze, a shield is over my eyes and face, and everything just looks different. It feels different. It's like I'm going into another dimension, basically, and I feel it, and then I'm gone. Just like that, I'm gone. And you might not even notice it because what I experience frequently, sometimes several times a day when I'm under a lot of stress, which I've been under a lot of stress and duress lately, I can experience these things several times a day. And I used to always brush off and say, oh, girl, that's just the grass. And I ain't smoked nothing. I just say, girl, it might be I'm just a little hungover from last night because I don't feel like explaining because people do not comprehend. Humans don't comprehend. And I'm not the jackass when I get tired of explaining, oh, girl, you was gone for a minute. You in the days. Did you pay me any attention? Oh, girl, my mind was somewhere else, which it literally was. But I just don't feel like explaining to you what a petit mal is at that time because then I don't want you looking at me weird. You're going to look at me weird. Look at me because I have one lock on the bald head. Don't look at me because of some condition. Don't treat me better or treat me different because of that. Treat me with respect regardless, treat me with respect regardless. So me sharing and telling you that I'm in crisis is not me making an excuse. It's not me looking for sympathy. It's me telling you I'm in crisis and this is what I need right now. I need to sit down. I need to drink some water. I need to recover because there's a recovery phase, as Dr. Kimi told you, there's a recovery phase that comes with it. And what happened that day, back to the story, while I'm getting a little nape in my neck braid with that little lemonade going across there, I experienced a grand focal complex I experienced one of the big ugly ones, one of the big embarrassing ugly ones. And my daughter didn't know and my niece didn't know, none of my children, because I didn't talk to my family about it because I was just used to my petit malls and just like, okay, let me breathe, let me drink some water. Okay, let's go. Let's finish what we was doing now. That's my life. That's my daily existence. So that happened. I felt the aura and I told them I feel funny. Then I was gone. The next thing I remember was sitting on the floor of my niece's house. And she's like, all kinds of expletives because she was in distress. So, oh, Shauna, oh, my MF, and yeah, this, that, and the third. And my daughter's screaming like, oh my gosh, we called ambulance. Like, and I did exactly what Dr. Kimi said you should not do. And I should not have done it that day because the results were detrimental. But we'll get to that. So anyway, I fell out, bumped my head on the wall that was next to me. And after that, boom, I went to the floor, bumped my head on the floor. So yeah, I mean, I could have, I don't know if I was concussed or anything like that because I didn't go immediately. But about a week later, after the nagging and prodding, the necessary and nagging and prodding from my mother, thank God she was nagging and prodding me, I did go to the ER. And the doctor daggone there cursed me out. Don't you ever do that again because I went blind in one of my eyes. And I was experiencing really bad speech aphasia where nothing I said would make sense. I could hear what I was saying, but my words were out of order. I was using words out of context, and I was referring to dates and times that had already occurred or things that had not occurred like they had occurred. And my children were reminding me, Mommy, that did not happen, that did not happen. And that's another reason why I didn't want to reveal part of my neurology to people, because then people can be real petty and goofy. And they can use that as an excuse to not listen to me when I am speaking clear and lucid and coherent. They will pretend that, oh, well, she loopy anyway. We don't know what she's talking about. Oh, no, you hear what I'm saying, and you will hear what I'm saying, because I have a neurological condition, but I'm not stupid. And that's one thing you need to understand. With autism spectrum disorder, me being a high functioning autistic person, I looked at my numbers because I was all in that lady's closet. I was a very precocious, curious child, very precocious, very curious, very highly intelligent. I looked at my numbers, and I can tell you this. I know for a fact most humans don't comprehend because they are definitely not, they don't have those numbers. I'm sitting in the company of 2 doctors who are my peers and colleagues, and I'm very comfortable in this space because of my intellect. It didn't come from a book, okay? So that because I have a condition that can make me appear out of sorts at times does not mean that I will allow anybody to cross a boundary and deliver any of their disrespectful ignorance in my space. That won't happen. So my fight is not only with myself inside of my own brain, but in just in society in general. People want you to appear a certain way or behave a certain way. They want you to, people always say for people to be themselves, but they want you to be the version of yourself that they can palate, that they can stomach, that they are able to digest. That's not what you're going to get with Amethyst Earth Avatar Shauna Divine. You can take me with all my pretty flowers and adornments, but can you take me naked and bare as I am? This is me. This is me. This is my truth. This is my existence. And I cannot do anything but work toward making my existence and my functioning better so that I can better serve you and educate you, because you don't know your child or your peer or your mother or your auntie, anybody. Drugs, people that have used drugs can begin to experience epilepsy and seizure disorder. People who, they might have bumped their heads, literally bumped their heads. You might have literally bumped your head and have that injury induce seizure. Traumatic brain injury induces a seizure. So I know that I jump around a lot, but you just gotta follow. That's the way my brain works. I changed the channel, so I'm about to change the channel again and go back to that seizure. So I had that grand mal. Went to the hospital, went through a series of, going back and forth. I went to the space where I got the leads on my head. And the first time that I got them done was when I was 4, when we first discovered that I had epilepsy. And it's a certain thing that goes with PTSD. Every time I'm in the clinical space, which is why I have to combine holistic, we're in a holistic wellness center. I have to combine holistic wellness with practical Western medicine, which is really our medicine, because we are the authors of everything on this planet. So where Dr. Kimi comes in, she takes her meds. My meds are different. She takes her meds with a knowledge that people acquired by studying medicine, period. Medicine, the things that came from us, the knowledge and wisdom that came from our ancestors, to take these plants and condense the certain elements of the minerals, the chemicals and protein compounds to make a certain, what they now call drugs or pharmaceutical, to assist with the brain. She trusts Big Pharma more than I do. So she's more prone to take the pills. I don't. Well, she doesn't, she trusts the knowledge of our people from which Big Pharma originated. Is that a better way to say it?
I don't make everything a battle.
Right.
Because I can't compete.
Right, there we go. She just does what's necessary, and we just do what's necessary to function at our capacities, at our, from our totality of our experiences. And your condition is different but similar. We talk a lot. I mean, this lady here really assists me in, I can be real stubborn when it comes to, I'm not going, and them white dogs ain't telling me what to do, and this, that, and the third. They don't even understand and comprehend. I had to tell them that medicine was gonna facilitate or cause adverse reactions in me. Because one doctor, for my diagnosis of schizophrenia, gave me Seroquel. He also is aware of my seizure disorder and a diagnosis of epilepsy. And when I called him out on it, by me not having the medical certification behind my name, he tried to make me seem like I was a fool. But I said clearly, sir, you can see this, it says causes seizures. Why would you give me something to induce seizures when I already have seizures? So that's my dilemma with navigating big pharma and holistic care. But thanks to this lady right here and this lady right here, I'm changing my whole entire, and you might have to do that. You might have to say, screw this MCO, screw whatever you were comfortable with, let it go, release it, and you have to implement something new. So I'm in the process of implementing something new with the resource center at the space I'm at. We're going through my, through Beacon, and we're removing all unauthorized, all people that are being paid off of my existence right now that are not giving me the services and providing services I'm supposed to have. So I can get a new MCO, go to a new neurologist, and we're gonna get this brain right. And my goal in 2023 is to not be relying on other people for my transportation. Just getting here this morning was $28. One driver canceled on me after I waited 30 minutes for my ride. Then the other driver came. She was very pleasant, but that ride was another 30 minutes away. So I made it here by the skin of my teeth. And this is the things that I have to do before I get out into space to give anyone my energy. I have to deal with, I've already fought several battles before I even leave the house. When I get up in the morning, typically I have water beside my bed because I have to, I have to hydrate my full temple. And the most important thing is my brain. You have to hydrate your brain, and my mother made a practice of that. We always keep water beside the bed. My mother sitting here, who we just found out about having another brain condition called pituitary adenoma. Pituitary adenomas are, they can be benign or not, they can be benign or malignant, depending upon your previous diagnosis of hyper or hypothyroidism, which is a condition that existed with my mother for years. Now, yes, I'm going to share some ugly truth. I noticed in about 2018, 2019, my mom's face looked funny. And I told her that it wasn't just because she had fat cheeks, but this eye, the eye, and she used to ask me, "Do my eye look funny?" I'm like, "Well, your eye looked the same as it did yesterday, but yes, I've been telling you for a while, your eye looks funny." Well, the experts that have the degrees, which we will call MDs, medical doctors, primary care practitioners or whatever, can be so book smart, but so dumb at the same time. Because how can you not notice? How can you not listen when people don't listen? And they listen and they might hear you. These articles, they work, they hear you. Yeah, these ears, I'm getting to my nerds, the articles, they hear you, but they don't comprehend or understand at all. They don't get it. They don't get it. And she's sitting there telling them her symptoms. She's seeing floaties, auditory and visual hallucinations, and blurred vision in and out, numbness, and just losing her equilibrium while just standing and falling. I've watched this, and I said, "Mom, you had a stroke." She did not listen. They didn't listen. I said, "You had a stroke." I had so much going on with the care of my neurodivergent children, and my mother was living far away, which she did intentionally, because sometimes the brain make you make decisions. She did intentionally to get, to have her space, which was fine. So I couldn't get to her to assist her like I should have been able to do. But she did, in fact, have several stroke episodes. I just recently read one of the reports before we discovered the adenomas. We've been telling this doctor over and over again about her symptoms. And when they did more extensive or more in-depth neurology and diagnostics, discovered, in fact, I was right. She stroked out right there, biggest day. History of TIA. A TIA is a transient ischemic attack, which is a stroke. It's a stroke. A stroke can be very dangerous if untreated, because a stroke can lead to aneurysm. I have a cousin who walks around with an aneurysm right now, and that can be very dangerous. And I'm so tired. I have tons of litigation piled up for wrongful you know, or negligence or malpractice on the part of me and my family, including my children with autism who were not treated properly. But we discovered this after, years after it should have already been recognized by those people who are the experts. So I'm telling you this to tell you, pay attention to your body, pay attention to your family members and the people who you care for. Do not let these doctors, these experts tell you anything, and just because, oh, well, they know they're the doctor, I'm going, yes, sir. Don't do that. We do that all the time. Well, they say ain't nothing wrong with me, but my back still hurt, or they say nothing wrong with me. I still got this bad migraine. There is nothing wrong. A headache is indicative that your brain is in distress. Distress. You're in crisis. So don't just, you know, if you drink your water first, the first thing you do when you get a headache, drink some water. Drink water, because a lot of times it's just because we're dehydrated. We don't even realize it. If you're the type of person who drink a lot of water, you know, if you drink a 2 liter or something like that, you void often, go to the bathroom. You have to replenish that. The whole purpose is to move the waste out, move all the, you know, free radicals and little things that might be causing problems. You might have got a bug in you real quick. It can cause you to have symptoms of your brain condition. Flush it out. Flush it out. But do not let these doctors tell you anything. Investigate, ask questions, make demands for specific diagnostics. You can find out what is wrong with you. I am going to revamp my complete diagnostics as soon as I do my insurance and get the new neurologist, because I am her child. We share biological, she's my mentor. I took her material. I'm made from her. So a lot of the genetic things that are going on with her have occurred with me, unfortunately. I'm at a stage in my life where I am doing reckless, unapologetic self-care. Like nobody else's shit is more important than mine right now, because I have to survive and I have to exist. And if I cease to exist, everything that I am and everything I do will stop, and I can't assist you anymore. So yeah, I mean, that's a lot, but that's basically it. This is the first of these series. The next of this series will be at Beemore Green, 2036 West North Avenue. We'll have that there August 9th, and we'll talk about it some more to educate ourselves. And this is me standing in my truth, and instead of being reactive, I'm being proactive and empowering myself and speaking my truth and going to do the necessary things I need to do for myself to be well. I mean, you can't sit up there and say, oh, I'm sick, and want people to feel sorry for you. I don't want nobody's sympathy. I'm creating my own safe space. I'm creating the own avenue for me to make further progress and be the best version of the avatar for you, my family, my children. And first and foremost, because I always put other people first, which is why my health is in the condition it is, myself. I'm going to be putting myself first from this point on my care. This brain is important. This brain does a lot, and it needs to continue to do what it does. Yep. So manifest in 2023, we will have a driver, or I'll be driving myself, because we will find the balance. We will find the balance, and we will continue to move forward. And I just want to say thank you so much to this lady who approached me when my sister Diana Faith Escalera did her I Survive and BOSS, Breaking Our Sister's Silence and Men and Our Men workshop at Beemore Green. She brought you to me. I'm forever grateful to her for that. She's a dynamic, powerful woman in the community who does healing workshops and brings people together. And so that's one reason why we're here.
Thank you. Give me some time to relax. All that knowledge you spit on us. You know, she spit on that knowledge. So I took some time to sit down because I could feel that my brain was pumping. So this is one thing I always tell people: when I get quiet, when I sit down, yeah, I might be ignoring you, but it might be because my brain is telling me to do so, and it might not be, but you know, either way, sometimes we got to get our own time and space. At this moment, Dr. Dennis Winkler is going to introduce himself, tell you about TNAT Holistic Wellness Center, and also talk to you about some common questions that we as Africans tend to have. So thank you so much, Dr. Winkler.
Okay. You had to help me with what you just said, okay?
Oh, okay.
All right, greetings.
You got it.
Brother Dennis Assault Winkler, founder of TNAT Holistic Wellness Center. You said we offer many things here.
So in terms of the So you have the meditation, you have the,
We have meditation, Tai Chi, Qigong. We offer karate. We offer mental health therapy. We offer quite a bit of things. We have Reiki practitioners coming in. We're going to do some other holistic modalities. We're looking for massage therapists. We're looking for psychotherapists. We're looking for people who want to operate from PRP. But what we do, we take an integrated approach, a holistic approach, which includes both the East and the West, because that's balanced. And one thing I think if I could say is sometimes having compassion. I think that's a major thing for us to really tap into is compassion, especially as it relates to what we say neurodivergent or what you want to call it, neurotypical or have you. Just really, even if you call it typical, to some degree having a level of compassion for them, because that which is considered typical is also somewhat not necessarily healthy always. So just having some compassion for each other, I think could allow us to have the space, even if somebody is sitting down, as Dr. Dennis was saying, sitting down and wondering like, what is going on with her? Is it about me? Really, when we see things going on in people and we think they're doing something to us or we feel a little slighted, it's really more about what's going on inside of them. And then even if it is towards you, it's always about what's going on in them. So then we can have more acceptance, more empathy, more compassion, and we can live in a world more harmoniously.
Thank you so much. Clap, 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 clap.
True Sisters, we would like to and so have True Sisters speak.
yep, yeah,
And tell
True
us about
Sisters.
what you do. So we like to have our sister Nicole.
Well, she's here.
How you doing? So as we know, CPR first aid is big in the medical field, but today in time, I feel as though us as a community should know CPR first aid. As she was saying, they could be driving and have a seizure at any moment. And it's people as our family, our relatives that don't know how to save us because not that we lack the knowledge, but we weren't taught the knowledge. So even to the people outside, I believe that we are the first responders. Meaning, I don't take nothing from the paramedics, but us as a community should be the first responders. We should know how to aid gunshot wounds. We should know how to aid the elderly. We should know how to aid the overdose because opioids is at such a high right now. So with True Sisters, it's just so big to spread awareness and knowledge to the whole community, like not just in the medical field. I myself also have a son with autism, and at any moment he can put anything in his mouth. Like he's so curious and he's so fast, but I feel as though my kids at the age of 11 and 13, they are CPR certified. So with True Sisters, we just come out to the community and want to teach everybody in every field, like whether you at home, you never got to work a day in your life, you should still know CPR because emergency can happen at any time, at any moment. And it's very important that everyone, like it's from the ages 5 on up, everyone should know how to either save a life or recognize there is a problem and contact help.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And you will receive, we'll send everyone additional information on how to contact Nicole and True Sisters, because that includes some virtual opportunities,
Yes,
right? So you can reach people locally, nationally, and also globally for some virtual opportunities. So that's amazing. So we're gonna go back here and show y'all some wild vegan treats.
Wow, vegan. Let's see what we got here on the table. Got some samples.
These are made with freshly lemon grated rind and freshly squeezed lemon juice. And there's like a lemon drizzle on top. This is snickerdoodle, chocolate chip, and there's peanut butter, but I don't have one out. And these are all homemade with all vegan ingredients. They're all plant-based. They're soy-free. I also do gluten-free for, dietary requirements, obviously. And yeah, they're made with love. There are 2 commitments that we have in this business. There is one to the environment. So as you see, all the labels, all the packaging, they're very simple. And it's not plastic. This is actually glassine, and this is craft paper. And these are eco-friendly, and they're also biodegradable, so they can be used in your compost.
Wow.
So we are very environmentally conscious. Most of our ingredients are also sustainably sourced. So this is like just our way of making sure that we are being a sustainable company. Our other things to the community. So one of our mission is to try to raise funds. Well, we raise funds through our sales and we contribute to different areas of the community. And we hope to work along with other organizations, other small groups, grassroots foundations, or even individuals to see how we can give back to the community.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And my favorite is the lemon. Yeah, that's my
That's the stuff
favorite.
right there.
That is my
This right here, can I get a lemon bite? I don't mind your hands, I'm organic.
I just washed it as well. so.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh my
That's my favorite,
goodness.
yeah.
Oh my God,
And you
it's so
wanna tell them
soft.
where you're from originally, how you got into vegan?
Oh, so I'm originally from Antigua and Barbuda in the Caribbean. I lived in China for 10 years, then I moved over here about 3 years ago. Living in China, like a lot of the diet is, they actually have a lot of vegetables in their diet. They don't really have a lot of meat, but there is meat and you can obviously mix meat and vegetables, but most of their main dishes comprise of vegetables. But how I decided to explore the vegan lifestyle, it was after watching a documentary called What the Health. What the health, and just seeing the health impacts that your diet really has. Like you know of it, but then when you see what's happening, you see what people really do, and that it really just leaves a really big impact. And after that, I was like, all right, let's dabble. One of the things I used to enjoy going to the supermarket was getting cookies. And it
Yes.
was like, you couldn't really just go and pick up the tub of cookies that we usually get, because they would have been fresh baked bakery cookies and not the packaged ones. So we really like those. I was already baking in China. I had a small bakery, but I mainly did banana breads and cupcakes and cakes. But when we moved here, I just really wanted cookies. And I started dabbling with vegan cookies. And then I just decided to try a business again, like what I did in China. So yeah,
And people
here
can
we are.
People can purchase online.
Yes, they're available for sale online through our website.
Also
My Instagram, all the links are in our Instagram. It's on Wow Vegan Treats on Instagram, on Facebook, and the website, wowvegantreats.com. Wow is in wow.
Wow. Like, wow, I can't believe that. That is so good. That cookie sample was so delicious.
Thank you.
Y'all better order you some Wow Vegan Treats.
Wow, vegan
And
treats.
then you can contact Nicole with the CPR training. So you've got the vegan treats and CPR training all together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I tried the lemon.
The lemon is my favorite.
No, it's very soft. You can definitely eat it. Oh, yeah. We're gonna go over here to my table. And we can basically kind of like set this.
Or do you want to talk to yourself or go to text myself?
Oh, we just got a few things here. This is all of my coping mechanisms. This is the things that keeps me busy. I craft jewelry, earrings. These are some simple pieces because I hadn't been involved with the crystals for some time, as I was experiencing some energy that I didn't feel like I could, I didn't want to transfer. You got your finger or something over there. Yeah.
Sorry.
I didn't want to transfer the energy, so I didn't bother the crystals or anything, but she's getting back into my eclectic craft and creativity. These are copper wire set that I just crafted. And you can get these at 2036 West North Avenue. It's kind of blurry. I think your finger or something, but 2036 West North Avenue, you can get these there. We also have from my brand Afrikans, so I'm getting tongue tied. But that actually really happens to me a lot. It's clear and articulate as I speak. And as much as I enunciate my words, sometimes because I have not properly cared for myself besides taking water today, that happens to me sometimes. My speech can be incoherent. But I have this rose quartz crystal, which I've mounted on this show crystal. You could just like, it's beautiful. Also, this I made was my mojo. I'm going to be selling these. This is not mine. This was made by Islands Treasures. Yes, I'm shouting you out on my YouTube girl. Islands Treasures. Follow her on Instagram. Now this mojo piece, you can't really see clearly, but I made this. This is black labradorite, and lapis lazuli, the truth stone. So yeah, there's no pretense. It's only truth coming out this mouth, whether it's raw, ugly, however it comes out, it comes out. But only truth, honey. I protect myself so that I can see you and you can see me. And I also have the chakra dragonflies that I attach to the chakra prayer beads. And this piece right here is kind of, this piece is cool too because it came from Art Palmer. This piece of wood here, it came from the artist Art Palmer. And I instantly saw it and saw Fro Queen. So there we go. I have a plethora of unique creations that it just comes from the need to create, the need to express myself, and what we have here. These are the t-shirts I was telling you about. To thine own self. Be true, then well, you can read, can't you? This is my daily mantra, being Pisces, Sun, Leo, Moon, Gemini, rising. My daily mantra is to thine own self, be true, then a mother. So yeah, there's that. I have these, and it's right here. The name of the brand, of course, Africentrics Creations by Shauna Divine, and you can find me here at Africentrics. If you want to communicate with me per email, this is my email. You can see that africentrics@gmail.com. AFRINDECENTRIQS. This information will be in a link provided below, the YouTube link provided below. And if you want to donate anything to Afro Aspie's Rock, I'm gonna let that sit there for a minute. If you want to donate anything to Afro Aspie's Rock, because on April 9th, Dr. Kimya, neurodentist of 365 Diversity, and myself, we went on and had our first Afro Aspie's Rock workshop. My entity transitioned from online entity, which was a support group, like it's kind of like a secret support group for people that are in my inbox that talk to me about their neurodivergency, about their epilepsy, about their children with autism, people who are afraid to express themselves publicly because of the ignorance. And you're showing people my boots. Because of the ignorance and stigmatization surrounding those of us in the community that have invisible illnesses or neurological disorders. That's what made me create Afro Aspie's Rock. I also facilitate, implement my own homeschool initiative, Divine Ancestry Learning Academy. And I'm the resident artist and creative coordinator at booking. I book events for Be More Green. I do Tight Tuesdays karaoke, which is also another means of my therapy and coping mechanisms. Every single Tuesday at 6 East Lafayette Avenue, the Garage Baltimore. Oh, the money fell. At the Garage Baltimore. And yeah, I do a lot of other stuff. So, like these hats, paints, live painting. She can show you the art in a minute. We'll scroll back so you can see the art in a second. And that's pretty much it. If you want to follow me on Instagram at Shauna Divine 1, SHAWNADIVINE, and follow 365 Diversity. But anyway, you're going to get all this stuff at the bottom of the link. So I'm done talking for now. And yeah, that's it.
So Shauna and I just want to give you all a closing to understand that Africans with epilepsy, we have various looks about us. We look like quote unquote everyday Africans. You won't know, because the same way you don't know what's happening in your brain, you don't know what's happened to another African's brain.
See your brain, so
you can't see your brain. You don't, no matter what you think you do, no, you really don't know. Which is why we always encourage our people
negate and unlearn all of the myths and fallacies and things that have been perpetuated about people with invisible illnesses, and that your brain is, I can't express this enough. Your brain is your control central. It's literally the CPU. It's literally your CPU, your central processing unit of the entire body that you exist in, this physical avatar that you exist in. The brain is literally just that. It's absolutely that. You have two brains. Two things you need to pay attention to in your body all the time. Pay attention to your brain and pay attention to your gut, your stomach. Those are the two brains. Your stomach is your second brain, and we'll talk about that at the next conference. And why, we'll talk about that at the next conference, which will be at Be More Green, which provides a plethora of holistic vegan treats and things that you can cook with, from spelt flour to what is it, falafel, stuff like all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's all that stuff. So you'll come there next time, April 9th, same time, different place, and we'll enlighten you some more if you're interested.
Yep. So what we're doing is we're reaching our people everywhere, because we got to remember, it's easy to talk about oppressors, right? But one thing oppressors also want you to do is to perpetuate oppression by not doing everything you need to take care of your health.
Oh, because they sure will. They're going to
Yeah.
take care of their children, their people,
Yeah.
their wives, their grandmas, their families, their aunties.
Yeah.
They're going to make sure they get top-notch healthcare. It's
Yeah.
either that, or in their tradition, they'll just, people that are different or that are too much, they'll just throw them away. Like you see, when I was in the hospital with my mother, there were beds and beds of elders, and they had no family. A lot of white elders,
Yeah.
no families, nobody was there.
Yeah.
That's why them nurses, they knew. I feigned ignorance and allowed them to speak until they did not address certain things that we were concerned about. And then I pulled that patient care tech, cardiovascular technologist, surgical technology training out my back pocket. Listen, I noted that she did tell you about the and then we went from there, and they gave me what I wanted.
Yeah. So they literally want us to not take care of our brain. They want us to not take care of our epilepsy. They want us to die from things that we can actually avoid dying from, because we're so paranoid about everyone. They want that.
Worrying about what people think. Forget
Yeah.
what people think. Because if you can't think straight, you can't function straight.
That's exactly
And if
right.
my brain is messed up and I'm loopy, like,
Yeah.
you know.
So we have some wonderful African-based epilepsy
do.
organizations that exist. We have Africans doing research about Africans with epilepsy. We have some Africans who have epileptic seizures every single week. So even if they wanted to drive, they can't drive because
And at
they have
malls.
seizures every single week.
And every time I'm clear of seizures, all of a sudden, and stupid, I mean, I can't ignore the pet malls a lot and tell people I'm okay, just so I can like, let me hold the keys. Like, my sister was gonna toss me her keys one day, and I didn't tell her about the seizures. I just said, oh, I don't have my license yet. The reason why I
Yeah.
don't have my license is still, my stuff is up the MVA. It's just sitting there, because if I was to go in my condition, they probably just like push me all the way out the system. I already
Yeah.
have a restriction on my vision because I do wear bifocals. I have, my sight, my physical avatar looks perfect though. That's what some people tell me. Looks perfect, but it's wonderfully and marvelously flawed.
Yeah.
Nothing is perfect, but we work with what we have, and we play the cards that we're dealt to the best of our ability. And that's what I'm doing, being proactive, not reactive. And
Yeah.
we're here.
So I'm gonna give you all a tour of TNAT for a little bit, and then I'm gonna buy me some lemon. I know she packing her vegan. See how our people get, they pack away the food. I'm about to get me a lemon, but before we do that, let me show you some of the things that they have here at TNAT Holistic Wellness Center. Hope you can see that, like the African hibiscus, Indian ginger. Just walking you around. Collection of some books, including Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, you want to? And last but not least, you don't want to get me. Let me just show you all the TNAT Holistic Wellness Center logo. Hopefully you can see that TNAT Holistic Wellness Center. And you can also do an internet search for TNAT Holistic Wellness Center in Baltimore, Maryland, USA, and see what they provide. So we thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Shauna Divine and my stories about what's going on with our brain conditions and epileptic seizures, and how we're helping our people meaning Africans, locally, nationally, and globally. So thank you so much. Sending you love. Peace.